Okay, so as the Peloponnesian War continued and went on, Athens decided to have a public funeral for all the soldiers that had died during the war. Pericles, their leader, made a speech about how great Athens was, and he wanted to remind people to stay together, to keep their government strong. He kind of wanted to motivate people to protect their way of life against these enemies that they had now. So Athens, with the support of their allies, remember they had allies, other city states banded together against Athens. So Sparta and their allies surrounded Athens. The Athenians, they didn't have a very strong army. Remember, they had a stronger navy. So the Athenians decided, you know what, we're just going to stay inside. We're not going to come out of Athens. If we don't come out, what can they do to us? So they decided to stay inside, and they would get supplies from their navy. So the Athenian ships did a very good job of bringing in supplies for them. And the Spartans didn't have a very good navy, so the Athenians were able to survive with the supplies that their ships would bring in. But this safety didn't really last too long. They were safe inside their city walls. They were safe from their attackers. However, they were not safe from a disease that began to spread in Athens and eventually killed very many of their people, including a lot of their soldiers. Kind of reminds us of today, right? What's happening in our world today. We are protecting ourselves from this deadly disease that is out there, and we're doing what we can to do that. Now, imagine this happening in ancient times when there was no communication, no medicine, there were no hospitals. It was a lot more deadly because people couldn't watch TV, couldn't listen to someone say, hey, don't forget, stay indoors. So it was very, very different. So this disease wiped out a lot of their men and women and children, but a lot of their soldiers um, died. So then the Spartans figured this out and they decided, you know what, we need to figure out how to overthrow the Athenians. They had won some battles, but it was time to just take over. And Pericles, their leader, the Athenian leader, died from this disease as well. So the Spartans eventually figured this out and they knew that the Athenians were going to be weaker and weaker. So they made a deal with the Persians. Remember the Persians from the previous lesson? The Spartans and the Athenians were together to defeat the Persians. Now the Spartans are going to the Persians to defeat the Athenians. So they made a truce, they formed an alliance, and they went in and attacked the Athenians. The Athenians were very weak at this point, and they were just destroyed by the Spartans. And the Athenian navy did not stand a chance either, and that was their strongest effort that they had. So the Athenians could not bring in food because their navy was gone. They couldn't bring in supplies. Eventually, a lot of Athenians began to starve in their city, and eventually they surrendered because they had no supplies, they had no weapons, they had no food. Their army was weak. They didn't have a leader, and so the Spartans, with the help of the Persians, defeated the Athenians. And it all started because the disease started to weaken their communities.